In this episode of True Crime Black, we look at the disappearance of a young black woman. At the age of 15, she was hit with some very surprising news that would change her life forever. After sharing that news with those closest to her, she disappeared without a trace. There's one likely suspect in the case, but there just isn't enough evidence to make an arrest. What happened to Janteyl Johnson? With that said, let's get started. When 15-year-old Janteyl Johnson received the surprising news of her pregnancy, she was taken aback but resolved to embrace motherhood. Naturally, when she mustered the courage to confide in her family, they were just as surprised. But as the initial shock subsided and Janteyl expressed her desire to keep the baby, her family made it abundantly clear that they stood behind her decision wholeheartedly. They assured her of their unwavering support and promised to assist her in any way possible. Despite being a young teenager in 2010, Janteyl went for her goals. She harbored ambitions of completing high school, attending cosmetology school, obtaining a business degree, and ultimately opening her own salon. Her passion for hairstyling, both for herself and others, made it a fitting and promising dream for her to pursue. Sadly, she would never get to reach that dream. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance on that February day remain shrouded in mystery, and her whereabouts remain unknown to this day. The question still remains: where is Janteyl Johnson? Janteyl enrolled at Glasgow High School, conveniently located just about a mile away from her apartment. Every morning, her brother Prentice would drive her to school while their mother embarked on her commute to Philadelphia for work. While it was not uncommon for Newark residents to commute to Philadelphia, the journey typically took around an hour and a half each way. A few months prior, Janteyl harbored concerns about a possible pregnancy. She turned to her older sister, Janteyl, who was 23 years old and a mother herself, seeking guidance and support. Deciding to confront her apprehensions, Janteyl took a pregnancy test. Afterward, she and her sister saw the results that would change her life forever. Janteyl was pregnant. Together, they approached their family to share the news. Although Janteyl's mother was initially shocked and upset, she engaged in a lengthy conversation with Janteyl, during which Janteyl expressed her desire to keep the baby. Her mother reassured her daughter of her unwavering support, promising to assist her in every way possible. The entire family rallied behind Janteyl, offering their support as well. Undeterred by the circumstances, Janteyl resolved to continue her education, aiming to graduate from high school and pursue her aspirations of attending cosmetology school and eventually business school. She remained determined to pursue her dreams and goals despite the challenges ahead. Wednesday, February 3, 2010, marked another typical day for Janteyl as she was dropped off at school by her brother as per usual. But by mid-morning, Janteyl felt unwell and decided to inform her mother that she would be heading home to rest for a short while. Despite not feeling her best, she still had plans for after-school activities at the school and an evening event at a church in Philadelphia, which she'd planned to attend with her brother and mother. Determined to participate in those events, Janteyl embarked on the short mile walk back to her apartment, knowing it was conveniently close to her school. Along the way, she sent a text message to her mother, requesting her to call or text and ensure she woke up before her brother arrived to pick her up later in the afternoon. Her mother told her that she would. But when she did, Janteyl didn't answer. Assuming that her daughter had simply fallen asleep, her mother didn't see that as a reason to raise significant concern at the time. As the afternoon progressed, Prentice arrived at the apartment to collect Janteyl. Upon entering, he noticed that the door was unlocked, but Janteyl was nowhere to be found. Her purse, jacket, and glasses were discovered, and signs in the kitchen indicated that she had recently prepared something to eat. This confirmed that she had been present in the apartment not too long ago. Concerned and confused, Prentice reached out to their mother, hoping she might have information regarding Janteyl's whereabouts. Unfortunately, their mother was also unaware of Janteyl's location, and worry began to creep into her thoughts. Prentice and their mother launched a relentless search, reaching out to every contact they could think of. Sadly, their efforts yielded no leads. There was no trace of the teenager in the vicinity. Deep down, Janteyl's mother sensed that something was amiss. It was uncharacteristic of Janteyl to vanish without a word, particularly when she was so excited about the church event scheduled for that evening. Janteyl had mysteriously disappeared, leaving her family fraught with concern and uncertainty. At 10 p.m. on the night of February 3rd, Janteyl's family filed a missing person report. It was discovered that Janteyl had previously run away once, but she had returned home promptly on that occasion. While this information, combined with her age and circumstances, led law enforcement to initially suspect that she had run away again, Janteyl's mother had a sinking feeling that this time was different. There were no conflicts or issues at home, and her family had been incredibly supportive of Janteyl throughout her pregnancy. Driven by desperation, her family tirelessly conducted their own search efforts. While this was happening, the police officially classified Janteyl's case as that of a runaway, based on the available information at the time. Unfortunately, the media showed little interest in covering Janteyl's case, citing their policy of not reporting on runaway incidents. Through it all, Janteyl's family persisted in putting pressure on law enforcement, urging them to take action and investigate her disappearance. After a few days had passed, the police decided to delve into Janteyl's phone records. Through their investigation, they discovered that the last incoming call Janteyl had answered occurred at 1:38 p.m. The caller was identified as a 26-year-old man who happened to be the father of her unborn child. Law enforcement did engage in conversations with this individual, but ultimately dismissed him due to the lack of additional evidence linking him to Janteyl's disappearance. Despite their efforts, there was no substantial information or leads to implicate him further in the case. Interestingly, the last known location of Janteyl's phone was traced to a neighborhood where the man's mother lived. It is worth noting that this man involved in the case has never been publicly identified, adding to the mystery surrounding the situation. Janteyl's mother, Kaima, speculates whether this man may have visited Janteyl, requesting her to come out so they could have a conversation. In her haste to comply, Janteyl left the apartment with all her belongings, leaving the door unlocked, as she intended to return promptly. Kaima holds the belief that this man could have potentially abducted Janteyl against her will, holding her involuntarily. She ponders the possibility that he may have been motivated by fear of facing legal consequences for engaging in statutory rape. Without giving too many details away about this man, her mother's suspicion confirms that he is perhaps an older man who impregnated a teenager. Shortly thereafter, more details emerged, indicating that this man allegedly pressured Janteyl to undergo an abortion due to his concerns about potential legal repercussions. Janteyl, seemingly for her own personal reasons, did not want to abort her baby. Investigators believe that this caused a great deal of frustration for the mystery man. As the investigation unfolded, the police uncovered that Janteyl had been in communication with two other men, both older than her. It is important to note that while the police questioned all three individuals, only one of them proved cooperative. Although their involvement in Janteyl's disappearance is not immediately evident, their association with a minor, given her age, raises concerns about potential inappropriate relationships. The nature of these relationships remains unknown at this point. Further evidence emerged when the police obtained surveillance footage from a grocery store. The footage, recorded at 12:38 p.m. on the day Janteyl went missing, depicted her purchasing a bag of candy at a self-checkout station. Notably, this occurred approximately an hour prior to her receiving a phone call from the father of her unborn child. The surveillance footage did provide authorities with an idea of Janteyl's attire at the time of her disappearance. But despite capturing footage of Janteyl on the phone while in the store, the video did not yield any significant additional clues. Unfortunately, as time passed, Janteyl's case received minimal attention from both law enforcement and the media. Eventually, law enforcement deemed her disappearance suspicious, dismissing the initial theory of her being a runaway. Despite their new approach to the case, there still remained a significant issue. Apart from the evidence gathered from her phone, there were no substantial leads or indications of Janteyl's whereabouts or what might have transpired on that fateful day. In an attempt to generate more leads and tips, Janteyl's face and case details were included in a deck of cards distributed among prisons. Detectives involved in the investigation have stated that they received one highly promising lead from this initiative in 2019. Curiously, no further details regarding the lead have been disclosed at this time. Janteyl's family believes that she was abducted and speculates that she may be residing in the Philadelphia area, New York, or potentially even Florida. Janteyl's mother often contemplates the possibility of having a grandchild out there, as Janteyl had a scheduled appointment just before her disappearance to determine the baby's gender. Thoughts of her grandbaby occupy her mind, wondering if it is a granddaughter or a grandson. Expressing their dissatisfaction with the lack of media coverage surrounding Janteyl's case, her family has voiced their concerns. Their sentiments are justified, as only one reporter, Claudia Rivera, provided coverage at the time. Claudia has taken the initiative to start a blog on the case, and she remains the sole media outlet advocating for Janteyl's case. For those interested in her blog, it is called Where is Janteyl? Janteyl's last known appearance featured her sporting braided hair. At the time, she may have been clad in a black ski jacket with a fur-trimmed hood, along with blue jeans and sneakers. It's worth noting that Janteyl has a distinctive scar beneath her lower lip on her chin. Online resources offer age progression photographs that provide an approximation of how Janteyl might appear today as a young woman. Considering the timeline, if she successfully had and raised her child, that child would be nearly 13 years old today. To this day, Janteyl Johnson's fate remains a mystery.